What's up, everyone? I'm Sloan the Otaku, and this is Monthly Manga Cast. This time around, we have another very special episode, only My Hero focus. Just like last time, we focused on Chainsaw Man. This time, we're focusing on My Hero for a very special reason, because my good old dapper friend JoJo here decided to catch up to the manga, and I felt we would never, ever get this opportunity again. How are you doing, JoJo?
I'm doing quite well, Sloan. Thank you so much for asking. And yes, this is a very rare occasion where I, in fact, read manga.
I mean,
So,
it's great. Are you
yeah.
enjoying yourself?
I am. My Hero is definitely the gateway, and since then I've been, catching up on currently running things. But My Hero is definitely the start. So
Oh,
it's been fun. It's been fun. A lot more fun than I gave manga credit for, which I feel bad about.
Oh. Oh, man. So what made you want to get into the My Hero manga?
Oh, well, the My Hero anime being shite.
Mm-hmm.
This season being not so great, and this was sort of the catalyst. There was another instance a long time ago, some would say in a different life, where another particular show had a really rocky follow-up season, that being Promised Neverland,
Oh,
and
wow.
that had a particularly rocky season where people had suggested I read the manga. And so I did. I was like, fine, I'll read the mango. And I went and I didn't quite enjoy myself. I was sort of in the wrong mindset, I feel. But with My Hero, I went in with a lot of positive energy. And by the end of the first stream that we did, because I read it on stream with everyone, by the end of like the first stream, I just wanted to keep going. And it was especially... So we started reading right after the Class 1A versus Class 1B arc.
Okay.
And so we started reading from there forwards, and it was like you couldn't put it down. Like especially with the shift in focus on the villains, right? It became much more. I don't want to say dark, but like much more grounded. It felt more real, and
Yeah.
it really does hit the fan from there on out. Like things get very dark following the My Villain Academia arc.
Absolutely. Yeah, decide to catch up at a very good time, honestly. I mean, sucks for the anime, but the manga wise, just starting off with the My Villain Academia arc, it was a great, great way to hook you into the series, even though you're not following the main characters. Because for me, what I really love about the My Villain Academia arc, especially, is that Shigaraki, I never took him seriously. To me, he just was kind of there, and I knew he would lose in like 2 seconds. He didn't really, rarely ever won, like, and same like the rest of the League of Villains. They didn't really do much. I love Toga, and I liked Dabi for emo reasons, but they didn't really.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
They didn't really do much. They weren't as successful as previous villains that we've seen who like took their jobs more seriously and got their shit done. But this arc not only developed the characters, we also had a lot more characterization because we got to see their backstories, and then they got to evolve with their quirks, and it's wild. And the fact that can happen to anyone is still crazy. Kind of just like waiting for it for other characters to just kind of evolve with their quirks.
That I'm sort of in the same boat. Like when I believe the first one was Toga. If I'm remembering correctly, Toga was the first person to have their quirk evolve, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, that was the first one. And then after that, I believe it was Shigaraki was next, and then, I think it was it was twice then Shigaraki. But
Yeah, it
either way,
was.
either way. So it was quite. Quite the interesting moment, and it had me curious about who was next following that. So my guess is it's going to be, if I had to assume, it would either be, to me, it's either going to be Bakugo, Todoroki, or Uraruka. It's going to be someone in Class 1A. Someone else's quirk is going to evolve, and it's going to start going up to that quirk singularity thing that they keep referencing. I think that's going to be something like that. So, yeah, I something akin to those lines, I would assume.
Totally. I was thinking the exact same thing. Um, the recent chapters have been very Bakugo and Deku heavy, so all you Baku Deku shippers, congratulations, you've been getting fed
Oh,
like
you're getting
crazy.
fed. Like you have a full course meal. I don't personally ship it, right? I
Right,
still
yeah.
see Bakugo and Deku as like like the childhood friends turn
Yeah.
rivals trope.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I still feel like those scenes still hit like
Mm-hmm.
just as hard if you're only seeing them as friends because to
Yeah.
them it's such a growth moment for Bakugo.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also interesting to see Deku on the other side of things where he's
Yeah.
Deku in particular is you know what one of the biggest things my biggest pet peeve in the anime community. I don't see this as much in the manga community, thank
Mm-hmm.
God.
Okay.
But in the anime community, everyone always assumes that when the shonen protagonist goes from happy-go-lucky to dark, that means good character development, right? Like any
Mm-hmm.
character who breaks bad and starts being like a little bit dark, oh, that's brilliant character development, even if we don't actually develop the character. Eren Yeager. Um,
Oh.
but but with Deku, what I enjoyed about Deku is that he never really loses himself. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's still Deku. Like when we
Yeah.
first see him and he's like Batman essentially, he's a vigilante now.
Right.
He's still like when he shows up, he's like, I'm really sorry I didn't get here earlier. Like go take care of I can't remember his name. The gentleman who can make earthquakes. I don't remember his name.
Oh.
Yeah, like when you
Yeah.
first see him and he like those two students from the other school,
Mm-hmm.
when he defends them from Muscular, it's still Deku. Like you can see by his thought
Shindo.
pattern.
Shindo.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because Shindo gets beat up by Muscular, but you
Mm-hmm.
can still tell it's Deku. Like even though he's darker, like it's still him doing this out of a sense of heroism. You know, like he's still being heroic.
Well, at
But
that time, he wasn't going dark. He
yeah,
was much more serious.
he was a lot more
But
serious. Even against Lady Nagant, like
yeah.
he was still very much Deku. But when you
Yeah.
see him versus Class 1A, it's not that he's rejecting them like I don't need you anymore. I've become more powerful than you could possibly imagine. Like none of that. It's
Mm-hmm.
just like it's out of this desire to not hurt anyone. Like when he tells All Might that he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't need him anymore. Like
I
not in that way,
know.
but like when he
Yeah.
tells him like don't worry about me. And like I'm fine. Which when he said that I was like, "Okay, do you know how people are feeling when they say they are fine? I will give you a
Mm-hmm.
hint. It's not fine.
Oh, absolutely.
They are not fine." So when All Might stumbles and like drops the bento and I was like, "Oh no, it's
Ah.
so sad." It's
Mm-hmm.
Deku is absolutely on fire in like the recent chapters, but it's not because he's just suddenly darker. It's because it was an actual development of his character. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he was confronted by that whole "you're next" line, which we
Yep.
knew haunted him from before.
Yep.
Right? So
Absolutely.
it's interesting to see that callback, and also, um, All for One is an asshole.
Oh my god, yeah. This man. He
I know
sucks.
he's legitimately one of the most unlikable like villains I've come across because it's like he was always like a shithead, right? Like he
Mm-hmm.
was always like, oh, you just want to see him get his due.
Mm-hmm.
But then they flesh out Shigaraki, and you're like, oh, Shigaraki is the best. I really like this character now,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because like you said before, I was sort of like, yeah, like the coolest thing he had done before My Villain Academia was when they catch.
When it catch Bakugo, right?
I was gonna say when they catch Overhaul, and
Oh, okay.
they take away his arms. That's the first moment I was actually sort of intimidated by him.
Okay.
And I
That's
guess
fair.
maybe the scene at the mall where he catches.
Oh, yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
had me going like, oh,
That was kind of sinister, yeah.
yeah, it was sinister, right? Because the smile is like, ew, I don't like it.
Yeah.
But it was that moment. But it only happened in flashes, right? Like you
Oh,
get these
that
flashes.
scene played out. But
No,
yeah,
but I
it
mean,
was a
like,
quick scene, yeah.
yeah, like you would get this like flash of like, oh, he's kind of interesting. Oh no, actually, he's just Shigaraki, right? Like it was like, oh, he's just Shigaraki. Now we all call him Shiggy because he's our boy and we know him like that.
Yeah.
because they made him really interesting. Like Horikoshi did a really good job at making him villainous while still making you understand what turned him that way.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then of course all for one now that Shigaraki's this unique character,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, actually, this is my body now.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
It's like, God damn it, no. Yeah, it's very Kingdom Heartsy to me. That's like, this is mine now. It's like, oh, damn it. All right, fine. But yeah. Also, Stain.
Oh, yeah.
They're hinting at Stain returning, and it's like, oh, cool. Okay, only like a few hundred chapters later. That's nice.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, yeah. I am hoping that they bring back Stain. Not for too long. Like, I kind of like what they did with Overhaul, and they were just like, you know, just a little bit here and there. You know, he's not gonna be staying around.
Yeah.
They arrested him again.
I enjoyed what they did. Where Deku is like, if you promise me that you'll apologize to her as well, like to Eri, then I will let you apologize to your boss, and then I'm taking you back.
Yeah.
Right? And that's like, it's like, hell yeah, Deku. Deku's definitely in boss mode for most of this. But I appreciate the fact that Class A reminds him, like, just because you have all these quirks doesn't mean you can beat all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
They really take it to him, right? Like, I don't know if he was going all out. If Class A could compete, I don't think so.
He was trying because he was trying to activate like multiple quirks at once.
And we know this drains him, right? Like we saw that during the fight with Lady Nagant, where it almost takes him out a few times. So I feel like if he tried, he could maybe like get away from Class 1A, but I feel a small part of Deku like wanted them to save him.
Yeah, because I feel like there was a bit of an oversight, because he actually did use multiple quirks in that previous arc. I always call it the war arc, but you know, that long ass arc where everyone's fighting each other. Yeah. Because he floated and also used Black Whip to save the teachers. So technically he has, but then again, this other quirk that he's trying to use, I forgot what it was called, but it's like a flame quirk that he channels through his feet. Ah, man.
Oh,
it's like Fa something. I think it's called Fa Jin or something like that.
Yeah, the way, because I was confused when I read it, so I was like, I don't super understand what's happening. And the way my chat had explained it was it's essentially storing up kinetic energy and then like erupting it through like one part of the body. So it's like using it through his feet. I don't know if that's entirely correct, but I don't know. Deku does tend to forget that he has like legs, so I was impressed by that.
No, I feel like that he uses his legs the most, because that's when he started. It was like season 3 or something when he started channeling with his power. Yeah,
Yeah, because I remember like that was such a memeable moment when everyone's like, "Oh my God, Deku I realized something, All Might. I have legs."
Yes.
Yes, Deku, you have legs.
This Taiyaki is me.
Yeah,
exactly.
This Taiyaki is me. It's like, all right. It's random, but okay.
All right, boy. Thank you.
Poor Gran Torino's like, I don't understand.
Oh man, freaking Deku tossed Gran Torino's cape. And it got exploded. I was like, how could you do that?
Well, he literally even says, like, I'm really sorry about this.
He does say that, but honestly, I don't think I could have done it. I was like, this man is deceased. I can't just toss it away.
Gran Torino's not dead. He's in a hospital.
I could have sworn they confirmed he was dead. He's still in the hospital?
I believe he's still in the hospital. I thought he was dead. When I believe it's Shigaraki hits him. Because it looks like he puts his fist through him. But no, yeah, he's still alive.
Oh my god, what the fuck?
He's clinging. But he has a conversation with Deku where he tells him that, like, sometimes to save someone, like, because Deku, doesn't want to kill anyone.
Right, yeah.
He's like the inverse of Tanjiro. But he tells, I think Deku will learn the Tanjiro lesson, where it's, sometimes to save someone is to kill someone.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes that's the only way to save them. And I feel as though that's, if I had to put my, like, big brain, like, detective mode glasses on, I assume that's what the final battle will be, is, like, All for One will take over Shiggy's body, like, almost completely. And then Shigaraki will sort of break out of it for a second and tell Deku, like, you have to kill me. Like, I don't want to live like this. Like, Like, if he gets to destroy everything, it's not as fun. Kill me. So I feel like that'll be, like, the big moment. And I do think Deku will end up probably killing Shigaraki before the end of the series.
It's actually interesting you bring that up because I want to talk about the commission and what we learned from what's her face lady. She was talking about how she was around before Hawks and she was
Yes.
like the main assassin, but also people knew that she was like, I think people knew that she was killing people. I'm not too sure because I remember like there was fanboys and stuff. Oh right, no, the people didn't know that she was killing. She knew that she was killing people, obviously, because she's the one with the rifle. But like there was a couple of kids who wanted to like shake her hand, and all
Yes.
she saw on herself was blood. So
that
yeah, it's
was-
actually the
was
same
fucked
thing
up.
like Hawks. Yeah, they're just kind of hiding the part that she's killing people, but that was her main thing that she was doing. Because the Hero Commission believed like, hey, some people are too far gone. You gotta just kill them.
Yeah.
Which is questionable, obviously. It's like,
think
well, who are you to decide, who lives and dies? But also what you're saying about Deku maybe having to kill Shigaraki, that seems like playing into the Commission's hands.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because I feel as though the commission will tell him to do that, right? Because that's like there's an interesting discussion to be had there, right? Because on one hand, right, killing is not very heroic,
Uh-huh.
right? But like Batman doesn't kill, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But because Batman doesn't kill, the Joker gets let out of Arkham all the goddamn time, right? So it's like, okay, when is enough enough, right? Superman kills people when he feels as though there's no other way, right? Like,
Right.
but that's only if he has given them every opportunity available, right? And to me, it's the same. I agree with, even though I love Twice, like I love Twice,
Yeah.
but I agree with Hawks.
Really?
I do, yeah, I agree with Hawks, where Hawks literally gave Twice every opportunity to stop, and he wouldn't take it. And if they didn't do something, Twice would have killed many heroes, right? Like, he would have killed many people on that battlefield if he had the opportunity. So Hawks made a decision, right? And I like Twice more than Hawks. And I'm still saying that Hawks made the right call. I feel a lot of
Wow.
people put Twice on a pedestal because, he's Twice and everybody loves him.
Yeah.
But he's still a villain. He's killed people. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I felt like it could have been handled better. I didn't think killing him was the right option. I felt like that he just should have detained him somehow.
in that moment, I don't think there was another way. Like, because it was either he was going to jump or he had to kill him, right? So, like, that was it. I do think, by the way, because I've seen people be like, Darby didn't want Twice to die. You know, like, he tried to save him. I'm like, no, he didn't.
No,
Right?
Dobby doesn't care about any of that.
Darby doesn't. Everyone thinks that, like, Darby is, like, secretly on the side of the villain. I'm like, no, he doesn't give a shit. Like, Darby is arguably one of the bigger villains on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
100%. Like, Shigaraki at least is sympathetic. Darby's just an asshole. Like,
Well, I feel like Dobby's also sympathetic, but also, like, we cannot absolutely let him continue what he's doing.
no, right? It's the same thing with Shigaraki. To me, when the flashback happened, right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you were always crazy. Oh. Like, when they show a young Dobby, I was like, okay. But, like, when he's like, I had it really hard, I'm like, Shoto had it really hard. You actually had it quite easy. Right? Like,
Oh, I
comparison.
disagree. I disagree.
Here's the thing, right? Because Dobby had didn't have nearly the same weight. Because for Dobby, it was like, oh, you have this cool firepower, and Endeavor actually wanted to teach him, and was like excited about him. And then once Shoto was born, the attention shifted to Shoto, right? So and then he was incredibly rude to Ray out of fucking nowhere. Like, when he was just like, shut up, what do you know? And I'm like, were you just born misogynistic, or is that something you learned? Because, like, where the high hell did that come from? And he is misogynistic. People forget that. Like, he is openly misogynistic. Like, the character does say, like, oh, women this, women that.
Yeah.
As a grown man, not just as a child, right? Like, he's
Right.
saying that, right? So I'm like, okay, I don't... Like, I have sympathy for Dobby, but a lot of it to me is that he put it in his own head, right?
Yes, that's true.
Endeavor and Ray failed as parents because
Mm-hmm.
they didn't see the warning signs.
Yeah.
But Darby put that in his own head,
Mm-hmm.
right? His own jealousy over Shoto and his jealousy over his own father is what ultimately drove him to do the things he's doing and to hate his, like, I don't know where the Ray hate comes from, to be entirely honest. Like, when he starts
Mm-hmm.
hating his mom, I'm like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Because like that's where the misogyny is born, and it's like, okay, but she didn't do anything. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I'm like, she did.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand being mad at Endeavor, and Todoroki. I want to call him Todoroki, but I know like they're all Todorokis.
Yeah.
But yeah, I understand being mad at Shoto and Endeavor, but Ray literally did nothing.
Maybe that's
Quite
probably the
literally because
problem.
she should have done something, and she
Yeah.
didn't. But it is, to me, I feel as though Todoroki Shoto had the harder time, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of Darby's issues are that he's jealous of his little brother. You know, like the little brother usurped me, right? Because he
Mm-hmm.
never felt that way about his other siblings. Like that really didn't happen, right? He didn't feel jealous of like Natsu, right? Or Natsu.
Because they were deemed, as failures.
Failures, exactly.
Yeah.
And then Todoroki shows up, and he's got both, right? He's
Yeah.
got both quirks. Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
right. And I've seen, I can't think of the artist's name. I believe it's Cade on like.
Oh, K art.
Yeah, I believe that's the name.
Uh-huh.
They did amazing art of heroic Darby, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Darby, if he grew to be a hero, it was cremation hero Darby, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
that would have been brilliant. Like, because I can envision a whole different like universe of my hero where Darby went to therapy, like he should have, and
All the villains.
like yeah, all the villains just went to therapy and they're all heroes. But like, I can envision a universe where Darby is like also went to UA and is now an intern with Endeavor. And Todoroki's there, and Darby knows what Todoroki's going through, and is more of a older brother type character instead of the shithead he is now. I legit while reading it, I remember there was two moments where I loved Darby and Shigaraki, but there were two moments where Shigaraki earned my love back, but they both broke my interest in them, and Darby never recovered. And
That's
it's
fair.
when Darby starts going off at Todoroki. And I was like, you don't know him, that is my son! Like, I will destroy you.
Yeah.
Right? And it was,
Yeah.
and then with Shigaraki, it was when he almost kills Gran Torino.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because Gran Torino is like, he's the oldest character in the show, and as,
Yeah.
a 200-year-old zombie, I feel a kinship with him. So I was like, no, not the old man. And I literally called both of them, like, these wannabe broke-ass Hot Topic fools. Like, you My Chemical Romance rejects. It was so awesome.
Oh god.
But Shigaraki ended up winning me back. Darby, though, he's just an asshole. Like, he is truly despicable.
Mm-hmm.
But God, that reveal is great. Like, I know we all saw it coming like a million miles away.
Absolutely.
But when he says like the past never dies, and his head like he like washes the dye out of his hair, it's like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Toga too. Like honestly, all the villains are great. Like Toga having that moment with Uraraka where she says like, "Do you care about like are we friends?" Right? Like, like, would you kill me if you had to?
Yeah.
Right? Because she's thinking about twice, and Uraraka's like, I don't have time for this.
Uh-huh.
Right? And just like leaves, and then Toga cries because she's like, oh, she like I think Toga thinks that she would. That she's like, oh, like and that kills me because it's like, I wish you just talked to the crazy girl. I know she's crazy, but like you could have been like twice died.
Yep.
Because he was put in a position where it was either die or surrender.
Right. Yeah.
And the way you all taught him was to never surrender. So
Okay,
he
yeah,
died,
yeah.
right? But that's not something a hero does if they have no other... Like, that's the only time a hero should kill is when they have no other choice, right? And it's what Hawk says, right? In that moment, that was the only play I had.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Right.
I do think that maybe he could have, like, sliced his Achilles' heels or something. But then he could have still used he could have still used his quirk. So it's like, I really can't think of another way out. I do also think Twice's death is important to that arc.
It is,
right?
yeah.
So it's like someone had to go, and it was like, because like when they're like I remember my chat being like, oh no, not Crust, the number 6 hero, Crust, who?
Uh-huh.
Like,
Right.
and then of course like I think Twice dies before that, and then Midnight.
Oh, Midnight.
Midnight was a shock. I was like, what? Like that was shocking. That was truly shocking. Twice and Midnight dying. Because for the most part, the show was so sort of low stakes, right? Like not low stakes, but like low death count, I should say. Because
absolutely.
Like I don't think characters need to die for there to be like the risk of death doesn't need to be there for high stakes, right? Like it like Haikyuu, right? Haikyuu is very high stakes.
Absolutely.
But no, it's not like Daichi actually died.
Are we sure?
He didn't actually die. Right?
Tanaka, nice kill.
Like no character in Haikyuu dies, and nobody feels as though the lack of death means low stakes in Haikyuu, right? Because the stakes are incredibly high. Every point in Haikyuu hits, right? And for me, with the recent arcs of My Hero, like even if nobody died, let's say Twice and Midnight never died, right? Nobody died. Like let's say Crust didn't die, Johnny didn't die, Johnny the Nomu, little Johnny. Like if none of them died, right? That arc would still hit so hard. like it's, but you like those deaths still mattered, and needed to be there to show you that the game is different now.
Yeah.
Right? Like people will die now. I don't think you'll see like Class 1A characters die because that feels like a bit too far, and I wouldn't really want that if I'm honest.
Yeah. Not a little 15-year-old. Like no, don't kill a kid.
Yeah. Well, it is funny too because though I don't remember what chapter it was, but they showed Todoroki, and Todoroki's like got like his one arm is like ripped and his shirt is like showing the abs, and I'm like, these are not children.
Exactly.
These are not 15-year-olds. That man is 20 something. You can't convince me otherwise. But it's true, right? Because at the end of the day, like I forget sometimes that they are teenagers.
Right.
And I don't want them to die, right? Like, as I've seen people be like, they can kill off, like, Ojiro or Sato.
Aww!
The side characters. And I'm like, no! Right? Like, because they're still students. And the Class 1... That's... No matter how you feel... Like, personally, I feel like a lot of characters in Class 1B should have just been swapped with certain characters in Class 1A.
Agreed.
And then you only focus on Class 1A. You know what I mean? Like, just put Monoma, Kendo, Tetsu, Vine, Shihai,
Ibarra!
Mushroom Girl. Put all of them in there.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and Setsuna as well, because she's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, a lot of the Class 1B characters are super cool. And Mudman as well. They're all cool. Like, those are a lot of cool characters in Class 1B, but there's not enough time. There's so many characters. So they should have... And so there's characters in Class 1A who nobody cares about, right? Like, do you know anyone who cares about Sato? Like, what is this? Sugar Man?
Yeah, Sugar Rush.
Like, nobody cares, right? Like, like, I'm sure that somebody's like, he's my favorite. You're lying. But
I love Shoji, though. Shoji's the one with the multiple arms.
Shoji
I like
is
him.
great. Shoji's great because Shoji at least had moments, right? Like, Shoji's had moments.
To me, I feel like he's just like they're both like just quiet, standoffish people. So I feel like it just makes sense for them not to have as much screen time. But like, what's his name? Coda? I think that was his name, right?
Coda's useless. Like, Coda to me, I'm like he's a sweet character. I don't hate him, but it's like you could have replaced him like with Monoma. Right? Like, but then you wouldn't have the Monoma like Class 1B is better than Class 1A. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
And if anybody is listening who doesn't know, I believe Sloan knows. Monoma's like one of my favorite characters in the whole thing. Like, I love Monoma. I also love that Monoma's the one blocking Eri from the window.
Yeah.
In the recent chapter, because I clocked that when I saw it.
Yeah.
Like, oh look, because Monoma now has a history with Eri.
Yeah.
Because Monoma's been like trying to help them with Eri's quirk, right? Like trying to figure out like what the stockpiling quirk even does.
Right.
right? And it's I don't know. I think it's really interesting. I did see like a few people saying like it should have been Mirio there,
Oh,
like pushing Hiro
well,
back. But I feel as though Mirio's probably out doing hero stuff. Like I don't think
probably.
he's at the school. Like I really think he's out and about.
Well,
By the
technically,
way,
hasn't
that
he
is the best
graduated?
moment. I do. I think that they haven't. That they're holding everyone. Because
Okay.
Class 1A is still Class 1A, even though they're
That's
supposed to be
true.
second years now.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe they're essentially graduated. Like
Yeah.
they have graduated, but they didn't have the ceremony and they didn't have exams.
Yeah.
Um,
They either just shoved them out into the world being like, okay, yeah, we need you guys to get out there,
yeah, there's no
or they're
ceremony
just,
for you.
yeah, or they're just sticking around dorming over at UA.
Yeah, I don't. I will say to me, and I am curious to hear what yours is. To me, the manga chapters, right? Like I'm not saying the show as a whole, but of the manga pages, like the manga chapters that I have read, the best moment of the entire thing for me, like no joke, I was so hype, and then I cried, and then I got hype again, was the return of Mirio. Like,
That
Mirio,
was,
Mirio
yeah.
coming back was perfect because like it was in that moment where like they really needed some sort of tipping point, right? Like just a single, like one last push, right? The heroes needed one more push, and then like you just see the face, and I was like, and then power.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, because like I think of the entire cast. To me, like as much as I love Monoma's in my top 5, maybe even my top 3.
Okay.
But the number 1 is between Aizawa and Mirio.
Nice.
For my number 1. Like
Good
I
picks.
love those two so much. And
Great.
Aizawa was such a boss.
He is.
Recent chapters.
Oh,
He
man.
was just like, I have to keep an eye on Shigaraki, but he just hit me with a quirk erasing bullet. So I'm going to chop off my leg.
Yeah, I know.
While still looking at him. And I was like, that is the most boss thing I have ever seen. And I love that line where he's like, he does the same thing that All Might did, where until I can fully get them, before I can teach them every lesson I have, I can't die here.
Right.
Like, that is, because that's the same thing All Might said, right? It's like, oh, it's such a good, I don't know. He's got
No, he's
big
great.
husbando energy, like huge husbando energy.
He's great. He's awesome.
Yeah.
That Mirio moment that you mentioned, that's how I felt when Best Jeanist returned, but mostly because a lot of people really thought he was dead, and I knew from the beginning that he was not dead. I knew it.
Okay, so when I was reading, right, I was like, there's no way.
Right.
Right, because they're like, no, but how do you know? I'm like, because that would be stupid. Right? And they're like, what do you mean that'd be stupid? I'm like, why would Hawks kill a hero?
Exactly.
Right? And they're like, because he's bad. I'm like, he's not that bad. He's still a good guy. Right?
Yeah,
So, yeah, and then when they revealed Best Jeanist, chat was like, yeah, you were right. And I'm like, of course I was right. Like, of course I was right. Like, it was a hype moment, right? But it was also like, of course I was right. And I'm now going to do the I'm right dance. Because
honestly.
I was right, and you all tried to tell me I was wrong. Right? Because, and I did have people who, like, were cool enough to read along with us, who were like, no, he's definitely dead. And I was like, what do you mean? There's a body. Darby identified it. I'm like, this is my hero. There's so many ways where they could have worked around that. Because I thought it was a cadaver. Like, that's what I thought it was. That they dressed it up like Best Jeanist. But then they established that it was...
it was actually him.
Yeah, it was actually him. It was like a drug that put him in a death-like state.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, that I didn't think was gonna happen. I thought that when we saw the body that it was like some sort of double, or even his like fibers, like I thought it was something like that. But damn, that was actually him.
Yeah, that was crazy. And I love that Dobby's like, no, because I believe that's around the same time. They both come back. I believe Mirio and Jeanist. Like,
pretty close.
Chapter, but it was like a few chapters between each other.
Yeah, it was.
I believe it. Jeanist. I don't remember who comes first, but I remember that's when Dobby's like, "All right," like when both of them are on the field. He's just, "All right, forget this."
Yep.
Like, I'm leaving. I do want to see. I also gotta say, Endeavor and Ray are the two characters for adults Like, because usually, like, a lot of the characters we focus on typically tend to be like either the young adults or the teenagers.
Right.
But for the adults, I think they're the most interesting. Like Endeavor and Ray, like I don't like them the most, right? Like I'd much rather hang out with Hawks.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, I'd much rather hang out with Hawks and Genus. But Endeavor and Ray are like the most heartbreakingly real, I think, in the series. Like Endeavor realizing that he screwed up so bad.
Yes.
Right? Like so bad. And just taking that on his shoulders, like it's and seeing Ray tell him like, we need to talk because we failed our son. It wasn't just you.
Right.
Like I failed him too, but don't think that I'm letting you off the hook because this is mostly your fault.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Like Ray and I like that Ray is standing up for herself. Right? Like she's saying like, not only did you screw up and I hurt our sons plural, because of you, but also because of myself. Like my inability to act. Right?
Yeah.
Which is true, right? Like Ray had an inability to react because she felt trapped, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They feel so raw and real, and I do want to see Endeavor confront Darby again and tell him like, I failed you, and now I'm gonna take you down.
Yeah. No. Exactly. That's one thing I really like that Horikoshi's doing with Endeavor's character, because Endeavor's the only character in My Hero that I hate. Usually when like my friends will bring him up, I will start getting like actually angry, like I can't stand this guy. But I'm so happy that, I believe it started with the Endeavor agency arc, when he said that he's not looking for forgiveness, he's looking for atonement. And I was like, that's the best way you can go about this. Because a lot of people are just like, OMG, why do you still hate him? Look, he's like trying and stuff. He's trying to connect to Shoto. And I'm like, he's been an abuser for over 20 years. You think
just, like,
him changing within less than a year, like, solves that? Like, no!
Yeah, I'm gonna, like, because to me, right, like, when I see it, it's funny because, like you said, right, it's very split. You have some people who just are like, no, I can't. Like, I can't forgive him, right? And then you have characters who can, like or people who can, right? The exact same way as in the series, right? Like, Natsuo's like, I can't.
Yeah.
I just can't. And it bothers me sometimes because I'm like, shut up, Natsuo, not right now.
No, but he has that right.
He has the right, but I'm like, shut up, not right now. Because I agree with you, but like, not right now. This like you're ruining because Todoroki's trying to talk. Don't talk over Todoroki. You know what I mean? Like,
Let your brother speak.
Let your brother speak. No offense, he's more important than you. I mean, in the narrative, but also, come on. You're like a college student or something. Who cares? He's a hero.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Does he have a quirk?
He does. He does. They all do.
Like, what do you do? Like, when I see him, I'm like, what do you do? Like, he's a college student, correct?
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
Yeah, you know, he's like 23, 22.
Yeah, like, because to me, I'm like, do you play football? You look like you play football. like American football, not, you know what I mean? So, like, he looks like he plays American football. Like, that's what he looks like to me. He looks like a quarterback. Right? So, like, you're a quarterback? What are you? I don't understand what you are. Because at least with, I believe her name is Fuyumi?
Yes, Fuyumi.
Fuyumi, I love Fuyumi. Because, like, she's a teacher. Right? And I hate, like, she breaks my heart when she's, like, trying so hard to make them a family. It's like, God, that is, I don't know, she's great. Like, I think she's great. The Todoroki family as a whole, like, there's that shot where it's Endeavor realizing that they're better off without him. Right? And that's, like, damn, right? Like, because it's like, he gets it. And I have to actually applaud him for realizing that, yeah, I fucked up. And
yes.
It's never gonna be okay. Right? Like, what's happened is irredeemable. So there is no redemption. But there could be atonement, right? Like, the idea of him always watching after them, always doing his best to strive, not so much for forgiveness, but to show them that he is sorry. Right? Like, that's enough to me, right? Where I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
Agreed.
Like, I think that's what you do, and if they forgive him, cool. Doesn't mean the audience has to. Doesn't mean Natsuo has to, right? Like, if Rei and Todoroki do, fine. If Fuyumi does, fine. If Natsuo doesn't want to do that, I feel like that's fine.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel as though like that will ultimately come down to the reader. Like, I do, like, I don't want to say like Endeavor because like that sort of implies that I'm giving him a pass, right? It's more that I find him
Interesting? Okay, yeah.
Like I like the character. Like I like the character, not so much the actions of the character. And his design is just cool. Like he's just a cool looking character, right? Like he's a giant fireman, right? He just kind of looks cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think he's the most intriguing, like as a character. In the same way, like Griffith is intriguing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like I don't like Griffith, but I like Griffith. You know?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
But I don't like him.
Yeah.
Like,
for sure. That's absolutely it.
yeah. That's another series I've been told, like, you want to read Berserk? I was like, oh, I don't know.
I don't know about that one.
That's quite the adventure. I don't know. We'll see on that one. We'll see. Much different story to My Hero.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's yeah. I think the biggest thing with My Hero is the characters are so strong.
Yeah, absolutely.
And his art is incredible. Like, Horikoshi's art is so. How does that man pump that out weekly?
Honestly,
like, the especially during the big paranormal liberation war,
right?
Like during the big war arc.
Yeah.
The detail on like Shigaraki's dream when he's like walking like it like there's pieces everywhere and there's hands and he's like just what the hell?
Yeah.
Right? It's incredible. Shigaraki just allows Horikoshi, I think, to just go insane. Right? Like
definitely.
When Shigaraki's on screen, he just like the destruction, everything's crazy. He can really. This is going to be a very strange compliment. Okay, this is true. He can really draw architecture. Like
that's not strange. No, that's legit. Yeah.
Yeah, like he really can draw architecture like incredibly well, and he knows like how to make the destruction look devastating. Like the way
for
that
sure
the buildings crack.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's. He's really impeccable at it. Like his characters are also really good. I love that Deku looks like his proto design now. Like,
yeah.
Because a lot of chat pointed that out while we were reading that it's like, oh my god, Deku looks like the first draft.
Yes.
I hadn't seen it in a while, so I went back to look at it.
Right.
It's so true. Like he really does look like the sort of more emo Deku that we have in the proto design.
Yep.
Can you believe Bakugo was supposed to be a nice guy?
Ha ha ha. No.
I was like, that's not my son. Like,
yeah.
I saw that, like no. My explodey son is an idiot, and that's not, I don't know who that is. Uraraka was supposed to have like height, like Mount Lady powers.
Oh, that I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah, Uraraka was supposed to be like Mount Lady. Not in personality, mind you.
Right.
But yeah, she was supposed to be able to grow. I don't know. I think the story would be wildly different.
Absolutely.
If that was a quirk. I like Uraraka's quirk because you have to be clever with the way you use it.
Oh, speaking of the story being wildly different, I guess we can start talking about our thoughts on the anime adaptation.
Oh dear me. It is all the movie's fault.
Yeah.
To me, it is 110% the movie's fault. So if that movie is not 10 out of 10 straight fire, which it's not going to be, by the way, so don't get your hopes up. But if it's not, you ruined one of the coolest arcs of the series for no reason. Right? Like, just so that... And I don't like... Because everyone's like, well, it's not a spoiler. I'm like, it is. Because you know how the League's story... You know how the League story ends then. Right? You know what's going to happen to the Liberation Army because you are told that they're all working together by the time the Endeavor Agency arc starts. You already know.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's a huge bummer. And that said, like, I've seen a lot of people say that they're done with the anime completely.
Oh, wow.
Because they've rearranged it. I wouldn't go that far. I don't think it's in Tokyo Ghoul realm.
Whew. No.
Right? Like, it's not quite there. But I will say, I am not so much disappointed with the staff. Because this didn't feel like a staff problem. This felt like a Studio Bones producer.
The producers, yeah.
The producer. This is... And I'm glad... Because I was a little worried that anime fans wouldn't know the difference. Right? Like, well, Studio Bones is the animators, right? And so they make the decisions. No. Like, there's so much... Producers are the ones who are the real money and get to make the big decisions.
Yep.
And to me, that's a producer thing. To be like, well, we want... Well, the Demon Slayer movie broke records, you know. So let's tie the movie into the show, so more people will want to go watch the movie and say, okay, but here's the reason why the Demon Slayer movie did so well. Mm-hmm. It's literally the next arc.
Yeah, it's canon. You kind of have to watch it before season 2.
You literally have to watch it. It is canon. And I'm like, I hate when I bring this up because so many people are like, but the My Hero movies are canon. No, they're not. They are not. Right? Because it's like they get nods in the manga. Mm-hmm. Right? They get like little like winks and nods, but they're not going to matter. I promise you, David Shields is not going to show up. Like, none of those characters matter at all. For God's sake, like I've seen people say like, oh, but it's mentioned in the manga, so therefore it's canon. Chainsaw Man is in My Hero. There's literally a shot of Chainsaw Man in the collection of heroes when they go to storm the Liberation Army.
I actually did not notice that.
Yeah, there's literally if you look it up, if you type in Chainsaw Man My Hero Academia, there is what's his name? Denji?
Yeah, Denji. That's the main character.
Denji is there.
Wow.
He's literally in the crowd with the heroes.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Like, so by that logic, right? Like, oh, well, it's mentioned in the manga, so therefore the movies are canon, so you have to watch them. Okay, so Denji's there. Does that mean you also have to watch Chainsaw Man?
Absolutely not. The rules of both those universes are super different.
Exactly, right? But that's what I mean, right? But it's like, that makes no sense, right? Mm-hmm. And on top of that, the references are like, oh, I got this from a friend while I was in America, right? Like with Deku's new
exactly,
comments.
Yeah.
And it's like them people saying like, oh, that's a reference to David Shield or David Shields, whatever his name is. That's a reference to the first movie, right? It's like, okay, but if you didn't have that movie, that line still just makes sense.
Yeah.
We know that he went to America. All his attacks are named after American states. Like, so, meh, right? Like,
yeah.
It's they don't matter. And that's the reason why people are mad at the movie, because it's not an arc. Right? It sounded cool. Like, I was sort of interested in the movie.
I was,
until, like, because it's like, oh, like, Deku's, like, this top, like, most wanted person. They're turning the main trio into the Three Musketeers, which makes sense with the All for One and One for All references, right?
Yeah, and I love like, the outfits. They look so badass.
Yeah, I was like, keep those. They look great, right? Mm-hmm. Like, but now it's like, oh, this movie is the reason why the season is so bad, because like, even if I'm looking at it, right, like because as an anime only, I noticed, right, I didn't notice it so much in the Class 1A versus Class 1B stuff. I still think that was actually quite good, but it was long.
Yes, it was.
Right? And I was like, why is it so long? Right? Like, and I saw a lot of like manga fans going like, why is it so long? Right? Like,
it was long in the manga. I thought it was long in the manga too, to be honest, but yeah.
Yeah, but it was people going like, you could have covered this in a few episodes.
Right? I don't know
like,
about that.
Nobody was gonna cry over missing like certain fights, right? Because for the most part, it seemed like manga fans just wanted to get to the next arc.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah, true. Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you could have, like, for me, I wouldn't have gotten rid of any of the fights. I would have just made them more condensed.
Right. Okay.
Because it's like, you could have saved an episode or two, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So I did find that weird. But I still enjoy that arc a lot, because, again, I like Class 1B, right? I really like Class 1B.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Monoma. He's my boy. But with that, then switching to the Endeavor arc, it felt like noticeably something was wrong, right? Like, I was like, even as an anime only, it was noticeable. So, and I do see other anime onlys clocking that, right? And just saying like, well, I'm going to continue watching it anyway. For me, it was too jarring. Like, I knew something was wrong. It was bothering me, so I read ahead, and I was shocked by what they cut. And also, this, like My Villain Academia and the War arc are gory and rough.
Yes.
Right? Like, not gory, like, not like...
They're violent, but they are violent, and they're very extreme, you know?
Yeah, it's very violent. Like, Shigaraki's quirk in the manga, like, the way it's done in the anime...
Yeah.
It is not done justice. Because, like, I thought his quirk was cool, because I only watched the anime for a long time, right?
Right.
Seeing him, like, annihilate a group of those civilians, where he just, like, runs his hand over them, and they don't turn into dust like they do in the anime. I remember the first time that happened, my chat was like, yeah, welcome to the manga. because those people don't turn to dust; they disintegrate into goop.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, ew.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, oh, and it's even worse when you see it happen to the poor doggo.
I
right?
know.
Like, and that wasn't his fault. Like, I was like, Shiggy, that's not your fault. I'm so sorry, doggo, but that wasn't your fault, Shiggy. But like,
that was heartbreaking.
Yeah,
it really
that
was.
so sad. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When he reaches for his sister too. Like,
I know.
oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. Like, it's so sad. But then he starts, his mind breaks, right? And he starts enjoying it.
Yeah, because good old dad.
Yeah, I was furious. I was like, you insult your mother's legacy.
I know.
Like, I was so mad because I was like, Nana is dope, and also she is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she is. So I was like, I am so disgusted with her son, right? Because I'm like, you did this.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what is it with my hero and shitty dads? And where is Deku's dad?
He's on a business trip.
Exactly. That man left to go get groceries and he never came home. He's friends with Gon's dad.
Oh no.
Where's Gon's dad? Gone.
Oh God, we're doing that. We're
I just think I don't at this point when I read the War arc in particular
mm-hmm.
and I looked at what they were doing this season because the season is so rushed and even I don't know if you've noticed this too. Is the animation weird? Like,
yeah.
Like I noticed that. I was like especially like during the fight with Gigantomachia.
Yeah.
I was like, is the animation like not very good?
Yeah.
I almost wonder if because they poured animation into the fight. I don't know if you remember with Ida and Mudman. Like where Ida's like fighting Mudman, he's like flying through and it's this crazy like hyper animated scene. And it's beautiful.
Mm.
And then we never got that again.
Yeah.
And I was like, where is that? Like, my guess is that they're saving it, right? Like, I'm hoping that they're going to put some really top tier animator, like in-house animator from Bones, or just hire out, right? Like hire.
Yeah, honestly,
something,
yeah.
right? Like get in some people who can really animate
mm-hmm.
to do at least like this arc justice, because. At this point, I was thinking that each villain was going to get their own episode. I don't think there's time for that.
Oh, man. Are we even getting Toga's episode? Like, I don't know. Because I feel like her chapters is supposed to be adapted next, if I recall.
Yeah, so to me, it should have been Toga gets an episode, Twice
mm-hmm.
gets his episode.
Yeah.
Dobby gets an episode, at least an episode.
He actually doesn't really get an episode, yeah, because he's still, like, mysterious. All that's ever revealed is that his quirk is killing him.
Yeah,
right? That's it.
Give him intersperse Dobby's fight with the ice guy.
Yeah.
During the other episodes, and then I would think you would need to give Shiggy 2 episodes.
For sure.
Like to give the backstory, then the fight,
mm-hmm.
right? And then a wrap up, right? But that's 6 episodes.
Yeah.
And they don't have 6 episodes; they have 5.
Mm-hmm. They're
like,
cutting out Spinner's dialogue, which
Spinner's dialogue, which I didn't even connect, right? Because I was watching. Because again, like I just have the manga in my head now.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was watching it, going like something's wrong here. And after I uploaded my video on the anime episode, I went because I had said in the video that it's weird that they cut out the explanation for where the League has been.
Yeah.
Right? Like because it's like we know that they're going after Gigantomachia, but we don't know why.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they just find the doc, and the doc tells them go after Gigantomachia, and so they're like, all right. But it's like, no, you cut out the whole part where they're broke, they're tired, and
mm-hmm.
they're sort of running low on steam.
Yeah.
So that makes the fact that they're going up against not only Gigantomachia, but a whole-ass army
mm-hmm.
even more impressive because they haven't been able to eat very well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They've been going off, like, cup ramen.
Yeah.
Right? They've been going off cup noodle and, like, living out in abandoned warehouses, and Toga didn't even have money for a goddamn coat.
I know.
Right? So like, it's stuff like that, and to cut Spinner's dialogue, that sucks.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like Spinner is like one of the most underrated characters in the series. Right? Like I think so. Like I think he's such an interesting character. Like, I especially want to see him reunite with Stain at some point, right? Like, I want to see him
that'd be pretty
not
cool.
reunite, but meet Stain.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I want to see him meet Stain and have Stain tell him, like, what you're doing, not what I would want,
mm-hmm.
right? Like, I want Stain to tell him that, right? Because I actually feel as though Spinner could have been a hero, right? Like,
yeah, you know what? I can see that, for sure.
Yeah. so cutting Spinner's dialogue. Also, Mr. Compress is like barely in it. And I'm like, where's his dialogue? What is going on? Why is Giran like barely in it as well?
Yeah.
Giran or whatever is there. I call him Giran, but like whatever. Like, where's Giran? Also, Giran in the manga is hot, and he is not that way in the anime. Like,
I mean, teach their own.
like that man is just, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm very unimpressed. And by the time, so I'm seeing them do this, I am so concerned for season 6, right? Because it's like, okay, you could bounce back really strong.
Yes.
But the thing is, and this is just me, what if this is a bad sign of things to come? What if the whole staff is just burnt? Right? Like, what if they're just tired of My Hero? Right? I think get fresh blood on it. Get a new director. Get a new chief animation director. Get some new animators on there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't replace everyone wholesale. But I would say maybe it's time to sort of shake things up a bit. Because if you go in with the same energy you've given now, you will not animate that. Like, the war arc is insane.
Yeah.
Right? And it should pretty much take up an entire season. Right? Like,
oh, absolutely. Honestly,
yeah,
I could easily see that being like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure length, like 39 episodes, to be honest.
100%. I agree completely, right? Like, it has to be super long, and it's the whole season.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you try to cram that into 25 episodes, right? Like, or 12 episodes, because they do that, right? Like, they split it up between, like, 12 episodes here, 12 episodes there.
Yep.
If you did that, yikes.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that arc in 13 episodes is just not doable. You have to, like, 25 is, like, I can understand.
Yeah.
I do agree with you that I would like it to be JoJo's length of, like, 38 to 39.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm concerned. Because I remember reading that going, I don't know how they're going to do this.
You know, unless they
Right?
pull, like, a ReZero and just have multiple episodes where it's just like, okay, fuck the opening, fuck the 23-minute limit, we're just gonna push it to 40, gonna push it to 30.
Yeah. ReZero does it right. But ReZero's like, each episode is sort of like its own beast, right? Like, it's sometimes you get the opening, sometimes you don't. So, I love ReZero's method because
Those are some good producers.
they're like, do whatever you want, I don't care. It worked last time, do it again, right? But like, and that's the thing, right? Because you're making me think of better days. Because I think that the bigger problem, right, is think back to winter 2021.
Right.
What a wonderful time that was. We had like ReZero, Dr. Stone, like all the like Titan, all these shows. Right?
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful season. What is there this season besides My Hero, which is also not good?
Yeah.
I think that's what hurts My Hero even more, is that it's smack in the middle. It's supposed to be the savior of the season. I remember like seeing the lineup going like, well, at least My Hero's still there.
Yeah.
It's got nothing. Right? Like this season has Hamefura, which shouldn't. I love Hamefura.
Yeah.
It's like one of my favorite isekai.
Of course.
If Hamefura is your saving grace of the season,
Damn.
that is a yikes. Because that show should a show like Hamefura is like a Coke. Right? It's like a Coca-Cola.
Okay.
Right? It's
all right.
part of your meal, but it's not a meal in and of itself. Right? Like, you should have it with other things, right? Like, I
agree. I agree, yeah.
I love Hamefura, but it should be part of, like, it'd be the same as having, like, a slice of pizza. That's not a meal. That's a pizza. Like, that's a single slice of pizza, right? Like, you need to have the whole thing. You need to have the pizza and the Coca-Cola and the wings, right? You need to have a few things to make a full meal, right? You need a few shows to make a full season. I just have a Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
That's all I have this summer. I have a Coca-Cola. Case Study of Vanitas is pretty good.
I saw one episode of Sunny Boy. That intrigued me. I'll probably watch more once it's finished airing. But
I think
that's about it.
That's one that I'd rather binge.
Yeah.
Like, because the art.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah. I do know people who enjoy that, like, style, but it's not.
It's very Yuasa.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I'm not a big Yuasa art fan. Like, I love his stories, but I'm not, like, I love, like, the man's direction, but it's not, like, his...
No, that's fair.
Yeah, the art that's usually associated with him, I'm not a fan of. But,
oh, wait, isn't it... People are talking about Dragon Maid this season, right?
I guess.
I mean, I don't keep up with Dragon Maid. I'm personally not into it, but I know a lot of people like it.
I liked the way it started. To me, I think the biggest thing is just like, oh, it's so good to have KyoAni back.
Okay.
That's what it is to me. It's
Okay.
very much like,
yeah.
It's like having a nice bowl of ramen after a cold day. You're like, oh, KyoAni, thank you so much.
Okay.
Like,
Felt that.
like
okay.
that. But yeah, like this season of Dragon Maid is all right. Like I don't think it's much to write home about. Honestly, all my attention with KyoAni is focused on the Free movie. Oh, it better be good.
I can't. What isn't it called? Like the Final Stroke? I can't with that fucking title.
The Final Stroke.
Like, who came up with this title?
I was like, come on, guys. But yeah, it's a 2-part film finale. But yeah, this season as a whole though,
yeah,
is poor, and that's what hurts My Hero the most. Is that this season in general is not good, and it should be saving it, and it is failing, which is upsetting given the material it has.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
From MVA onward, My Hero is. I swear, like My Hero is untouchable from MVA onward. Like it is impeccable.
No, absolutely, I agree. I want to go back to what you said earlier when you were just like they should just switch out some staff members. Because I remember back with season 1 and season 2, people were talking about like, oh my gosh, the anime just started airing and they already finished animating like episode 23 or something. Like they are way ahead of schedule. And I was like, damn, those are some solid producers. That's pretty sick. And every episode was consistent in quality of like, voice acting and animation and stuff and direction. Like everything was great. So it's definitely two things. One, the movie for sure, without a doubt. And then what you said about like just changing some of the staff members, because I do believe that Bones and everyone that Bones is working with can bounce back from this, because they're typically pretty damn good at when it comes to like long battle arcs.
The Studio Bones, like I made a joke at the beginning that I was just like, imagine not trusting Studio Bones. After they've given you everything, right? After they gave you like the earlier seasons of My Hero, after they gave you Bungo Stray Dogs, Mob Psycho, right?
Yeah.
Like Full Metal Alchemist, both times.
Yep.
Right? Like, so to me, it was laughable to think that Bones would fail, and I think that's why it hurts, because they did, right? And it's like, damn. But it's also a reminder that like even your favorites can screw up, right? Like.
Yeah.
KyoAni screws up sometimes, right? Like, and that seems impossible, but, there's some KyoAni shows that don't always hit for some people. Right?
Remember Phantom World? Do we remember?
Phantom World. Mappa can screw up, right?
Oh, yeah. They already are.
Mappa will give them time, right? Like, it's like Mappa will, like, because Mappa's like a whole other. That's the thing. Okay. I was going to say Mappa's a whole other problem, but I almost don't think it is. I am starting to get worried about Bones now, too. Because I'm like, okay, KyoAni was always right, where it's your animators are your lifeblood, right? Like, you need them to be well taken care of. They can't be working like video game developers, like you can't have them working like that. And video game developers should be working like video game developers. Like, crunch is never a good thing. In fact, I'm pretty sure the studies that show that crunching on a project only hurts the project because you're not giving it your all. KyoAni had like the right idea with the way, like, you remember the way that they treated the animators, right? Oh yeah, no, I did a whole video essay because KyoAni is a very special studio where they never hire from like outside or anything, because like all the animators that they have, they've trained in-house. In the morning they do stretches and stuff. It's great. It's a lovely, delightful small studio, and they know what they're doing. It's kind of like with what was it? What's another studio that takes their time? I just had it in my head. Freaking Ufotable. Yes. They don't even release something every year. And you don't have to. Like, that's the thing that bothers me, is like I'm reaching a point where, like, really think about it. We started to notice this problem back when we were still seasonal. How many shows, like the number of shows per season keeps growing, right? And it has to stop. Like, we have to go back to like maybe 10 max a season.
Shit.
Right? Like, and even then, that's a lot, right? Like, the fact that we have, like, 40 shows per season
Yeah.
is crazy to me. Because, like, and half of them come from the same studio doing,
Yeah.
like, 6 shows in the same season.
Yeah, that's a problem.
It's a problem, and it has to stop. I don't think anyone's going to complain if we get less shows per season if the quality's better.
Yeah.
Imagine if you had, like, 10... You only had 10 shows per season, but they were all bangers. Like, they were all fire, right? Like, that'd be perfect. We had that during winter, right? So it's like, I know what that's like. I know these studios can do that, right? And I'm glad that Mappa, like, has seemingly started to turn a corner on that, right? Like, we've seen them actually... But here's the sad thing. They had to be called out.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, it sucks that it had to happen that way, but I'm glad it's happening. I hope Bones takes notice. I really hope the producers at Bones realize what a shit show this has become, especially with My Hero, where, like, look, My Hero is a global show. It's not just, like, an anime for your Japanese audience. It is very Western.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, My Hero is very Western. And to piss off the fans in the West is perhaps not the best idea.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's, like, not the greatest idea. And, because I've been told, like, oh, people in Japan don't really care about the My Hero movie, and they don't really see it as a big problem because they have the manga. And I'm like, look, now I have the manga too. And I'm still mad.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because, like, I understand that the anime has to... Like, I understand the anime has to change things, right? Like, that's what a series composer does, right?
Yes.
A series composer takes the manga, or takes the light novel, or web novel, or visual novel, whatever, right? Takes the material, keeps what's important, and drops the rest. There's, I believe his name is Kaku Kishimoto. I believe that's the composer of Haikyuu.
Oh, okay.
That man does brilliant. Like, he's the composer of series composer for Haikyuu and Fruits Basket. Kept everything he needed to. The things he didn't, he'll put in a movie, right? Like, like with Fruits Basket, he's like, I don't have time for this. I'm gonna put it in a movie, right? That makes sense. Haikyuu kept everything he needed to. Some things were on the cutting room floor, but it's like gags and jokes that didn't need to be there anyway. Just like, you can read those in the manga. It'll be a fun experience for you because you get more character interactions. Boom, done, moving on, right? This is an example of a bad composer, where it's like, you took, like, bad composition, where, like, you took arcs, you put them out of order, you change characters feel completely different now.
Yeah.
Like it's just it's wrong, right? Like, not seeing, like, certain characters behave in certain ways, like, actively hurts them. Like, Shigaraki not laughing during the operation, I think actively hurts his character.
For sure.
So, like, that, he, like, him screaming in pain. And by the way, I was like, look, that still looks painful because I would be in pain.
Yep.
But it wasn't nearly as good as the manga. He's, like, ripping apart. And, like, you see, like, the, like, veins, and, like, he's just ripping to shreds.
Yeah.
Right? But he's laughing. Right? And that's lacking in the anime. And to me, it's like, you're not only ruining the pace of the series and, like, the way Horikoshi intended his story to be told, which is, like, that's the thing. You're taking this man's story, his baby, and you're ruining it. Right? Like, especially once it's hit its stride, you're ruining it by actively taking scenes out of order and like, changing character, like, personalities, because now Shigaraki is just sort of a victim when he was a willing participant in the manga.
Yep.
I don't like that. And I don't know. I think the series composition, right? I could say, like, that's bad composition, and it is bad composition. But I don't actually blame the composer. I blame the producers. Because that was clearly a mandate of, like, get this done in this order so that we can tie into the movie.
Exactly. For those of you who don't know, producers, a lot of people think of producers as just, like, the money makers and stuff. And while, yes, that is a big part of their job, there's also several different kinds of producers. But in the end, they each have to, the most important part is scheduling. That's what they handle. It's not the director, obviously not the editors or the animators. It is the producers. Even the PAs, which are the little guys that could just be you or me running around, they also help out the producers in trying to keep a schedule. So that's what's the clear issue here, is that the producers just kind of failed in keeping that schedule, and it shows incredibly.
The producers are, like, just... Like, to me, I always think of the stereotypical, like, producer sitting in a boardroom
Mm-hmm.
with like a cigar, thinking that they know what's going on and they have no idea.
Uh-huh.
And that's what it feels like. It feels like a guy with a cigar who thinks he knows what's going on. He thinks he knows what people want. And do you really care about the movie at this point? Like, I don't.
Yeah, there was a time when I did. Not so much anymore.
Yeah, I was genuinely interested in the movie.
Yeah.
Now I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not only did you have a cool idea for a film, because that is a cool movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've always wanted to go see like other countries in
absolutely.
Hero, right? Like,
yeah.
that had always seemed like a cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
So not only did you ruin that, but you also hurt the show itself, and you put it in this state where it's sort of in jeopardy. Right? Where it's like, now people really... Like, I know people who are done with the anime and are just reading the manga.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Horikoshi don't mind. Right? And Viz certainly doesn't mind.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still... It's just a bad look. And you know what it is? You might have hurt people's interest in My Hero, sure. But you really hurt people's interest in Bones.
Yeah.
And that's the big hit. Is a lot of anime fans will look at Bones differently now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's disappointing. Because I did. Think about it. You know me. I don't read manga.
Right.
I'm caught up.
Yep.
Like,
somehow.
Yeah, like, that's insane. And I intend to continue covering it.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm covering the manga plus, like, each new manga chapter plus the anime.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I still have faith. I'm hoping that Bones can pull something out of their ass, but I don't know. It's sad. But it's also, you know, I at this point I'm like, you know what? At least I still have Bungo Stray Dogs.
Ah, there you go.
I still have Stray Dogs. They still better work on that mob movie. Like, I have other projects from Bones. I'm perfectly content.
That's the spirit. Just drop what you're doing and watch Bungo Stray Dogs every week.
Exactly. If you're disappointed with My Hero, go watch Stray Dogs. It's great.
Please.
It's so good. So good.
I don't want the fandom to die just yet. Please.
Yeah.
Revive it.
Well, that's the other thing too. Is I'm like, why is there no new season of Stray Dogs? You did some weird short series instead.
No.
It kills me. But yeah.
Alrighties. So we talked a lot. I know it's in the name for you, but damn, this might be my longest episode. Wow. Oh, but of course, I should have dang known. So, where can the viewers find you? Or I guess listeners, I should say.
You can find me most days on Twitch. Twitch.tv/JoJo Talks Too Much. I stream over there. On Mondays we do Mondays and Sundays we do manga chapters. Because I believe new manga chapters come out on Sundays.
Yes, they do.
Sundays and Mondays. Sundays. Yes, I'm still new to this.
Fair, no worries.
So yeah, Sundays and Mondays we do manga readings, and then we take Tuesdays and Thursdays off, and then every other day we either play video games or we hang out. Or you could check me out on YouTube. YouTube.com/C/JoJo Talks Too Much, where we do episodic reviews of anime, or I guess manga chapters now. Brave New World.
Oh boy, do you want manga recommendations? Or are you just gonna find some on your own?
I've been getting a lot. Like, I've been getting a lot of people recommending me different things. I'm also planning on reading a lot of webtoons soon as well.
Oh yeah, Laura Olympus, Laura Olympus,
That's
Laura
the one I
Olympus.
keep getting told about.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. Everyone's very much like, Lord Olympus. I'm like, fine.
No, you would like it, and I would like you specifically to cover it. I know Sun started it. I don't think he finished it, but he said he's going to read it on his oon. But yeah, Laura Olympus.
All right.
Do it.
Yeah, I'll definitely be checking out Lord Olympus then.
Hell yeah.
All right.
That feeds my soul. Maybe I should do a special webtoons episode now I'm thinking about it. I do read a fair amount of webtoons. Oh, wait, that reminds me. Wait, there's one webtoon that you totally like. You'd literally finish it in an hour. It's called Boyfriends.
I like it already.
Yes. Oh, it's so sweet. It's just a polyamorous boyfriend relationship. It's great.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
Oh, it's so nice. You know, polyamorous relationships done right. Girlfriend.
Yeah. I was so excited for that show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Consent is key, everyone. Make sure everyone's in on it from the get-go.
Yeah. So disappointing.
Ah, boy. Okay, then. All the links to your social medias as well as your Twitch and your YouTube channel will be in the description for all you listeners out there. And you can tune in next month, the last Friday of the month, which of course I did not check when that is, but hey, last Friday of September, we will be back. We'll be doing another special episode where we just cover one thing. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But also feel free to leave your manga and or webtoon recommendations in the comments for JoJo here. Let's bring him back. That'll be great.
I would love that. Yeah, I would love to do like a checkup episode. Like, how are you doing? What have you read?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, no, it'd be great if I had both you and Sun, maybe even Scott here, like at the same
That'd be
time.
cool.
That'd
Yeah,
be pretty
I would
cool.
like that. Yeah, we just had it'd be a mini isekai podcast reunion.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
All right then,
Yeah.
guys. I'm Sloan the Otaku. Sayonara. Oh, you can say bye.
Oh, bye-bye.
Everyone always forgets to say bye. This happens every episode.
Clean your room. It's filthy. That's my outro.
Okay.